Hola familia, welcome back to the Sky Studio podcast. It's your girl, your bestie, your hairstylist, your podcast host, Tiffany Caballero. It's EP8, guys. This is episode 8. We've recorded 800,000 times, but 8 of these episodes have made it live. And it's thanks to you guys because you have liked, you've shared, you subscribed, and if you haven't, you got to do it right here, right now. Send it to someone so y'all can be watching together. You can be texting like, girl, can you believe they really had a mannequin head up in the... y'all can be texting while you're watching it. Okay, you can do that. You can like, you can comment. It is the best way to support the channel, you guys. Today, I have a special guest in studio. We go way back when. I think 2016. I could be wrong. It feels like 2016. Aubrey was like 2 years old. But it's my good friend, AJ Tucker. He is a master, he's a master personal trainer. It just feels like personal trainer isn't like enough. He's a master at this, okay? He's just been in the game a long time. The black belt, okay? He is a self-defense instructor. The man has 4 kids. He's been married for 20 plus years. Is that right? I mean, that in of itself, that's an act of God, y'all. Today's society, today's culture, like I have to hand out the flowers where the flowers are due. It's AJ. Say what's up to the people.
What's going on?
Like,
heck of an intro there.
I gotta do it. I mean, it's just I gotta hand the flowers. So the idea is really that like how it would be in the salon. But when was the last time you went to the salon, AJ?
Last time I went, it's been a minute. You want me to tell you what he said to me?
Tell us.
So last time I went to the salon, I was. I wanted to get some twists one last time, right? Because I was in the Army. Then, you had to shave your head. So I got out. I was like, I'm going to grow my twist out one last time. So I had the twist and I work out. So I got to get them redone a lot. Yeah. So I went to get them redone. And my hairstylist, it was a guy. He was like sassy. He was cool, but he was very sassy. I'm just giving you an idea of what he sounded like.
All right.
So he doing my hair, right? And he retwisted it. And then he gets to this area right here. I'm not going to turn around so y'all can see this area. It looks as bald as him, right? But anyway, I didn't know, but it was starting to thin out a little bit.
Just a little.
So he doing my hair, but he's struggling back there. And I'm like, I don't know why he's struggling. But he was like, ooh, honey, it's time for you to give it up. That's what he said to me. That's the last.
He couldn't work around it anymore.
No, it wasn't no working around that. He said,
what's gone is gone.
No, he said it's time to give it up. So sometimes you got to give up the fight.
That's a word for someone.
Or get Rogaine.
You just got to let it go. Rogaine works. It just works while you're on it. So when my clients want I'm like, if you can commit to staying on it, but once you get off it, it goes.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. But yeah, that's the vibe. We're in the salon. We're hanging out. This will be a better experience than that. I'm not going to kick you off like they did then. All right, you guys, we did a mom math segment last time. And we have a real life dad in studio today that can share some dad math with us. You've been a dad for how many years now?
20 years.
He's a 20-year dad veteran. Oh, he's a veteran too. He's a real life veteran, right? Yeah, that too. We're not just saying that. Some people in the comments last time were claiming. No, it's fine. You remember that lady?
17-year vet. Some serious stuff.
It really is.
I mean, I think it's for her service. Thank her for her service. Yeah.
But I don't know if she's talking about motherhood or the service.
The service.
Okay.
She wasn't talking about the motherhood.
He's a 20-year vet in fatherhood and in also the both. Okay. So let us know. What is dad math? What makes sense in dad world?
You asked me about dad math. I was like, what the heck you talking about? But I'll just give you some examples, and throughout this podcast, if some examples come up, I will give you some dad math. But my dad math is actual math. It's actual math, but also when it comes to, unless you're like good at, because I'm not good with my hands, but when it comes to dad math, some don't work. You turn it off and turn it back on. You unplug it and plug it back in, and if that don't work, then you hit it and shake it.
Y'all remember the Nintendos? I remember doing that with like the game consoles.
Yeah,
like you had to blow on it. These kids wouldn't know. They wouldn't know what to do.
Oh, they would die. Like did you ever take one cartridge and push it down and put another one in?
How to do it?
That's what really make it work. See, y'all don't even know if you know nothing about that.
If you're gonna be a dad,
you gotta. Bruce Lee said, "Be like water." And as a dad, you gotta be like water because you got kids. You got the wives, or you got a wife.
Just one.
Depending on how you do it. Now, some people have wives.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But
you just have the one wife.
I just have the one.
I just got the one.
Okay. So yeah, that's how some people do it. But some people have multiple wives.
They really
But you really just gotta be flexible. Like something pop up, is the best route is to just handle it and don't freak out. Because everybody else is gonna freak out.
But I think that's the role y'all play, like the calm, cool, collected, and you hold it down. Because I'm the freak. Like, plug it out, plug it out, and plug it back in.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, it don't work. I already ordered another one. He's like, did you plug it?
Sometimes you just gotta look at it, and then sometimes you just gotta wait,
That's it.
and it'll pop back up. Then you phone a friend.
All right, AJ. So fitness industry. How long have you been in the fitness industry?
Since 2005, officially since 2005. But when I was in the Army, I that's when I got into it. That's when I started coaching people and figured out that's what I wanted to do.
So back in 05 or back when did you figure that out?
When I figured it out in 2004.
Okay.
So I was in the Army. I was in Iraq. And we were on break and we was all sitting down watching, we was watching television. They had a little bit of television every now and then at the time.
Was it in black?
I wasn't in black and white. I ain't that old. Shoot, I'm old, but I ain't that old. But anyway, at the time his name was Puff Daddy. He PD'd in there, but he was Puff Daddy. This when he was running marathons, right? Okay. And we were sitting back and they showed his trainer. And the trainer was talking, blah, blah, and then the cook looked at me. He was like, Tuck. He was like, that's you, dog. You could do that. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And then another thing that happened is fatigue is a killer. Fatigue is a killer. And so, when you're in the Army, you work out, right? You're fit. But when you go overseas, you don't necessarily work out, right? Like some people work out and then some people don't. You just go to the missions. But what happened is those same people that did not work out, they just didn't function the same. And so if you fatigue, you can get killed. So when they say fatigue is a killer, yes, it could be a killer of business. It could be a killer of your results, your desire. But it can also get you killed when you're in war. It can get you killed. If you fall asleep or you could just get in an accident. And so my thing was, it's like, hey guys, let's go work out. I had a squad of medics. And it's like, hey, let's get it in.
Like how many guys? It
was 4. So it was like, hey, let's get it in. Then other people started coming to me, and then I started making workouts, handing out workouts. And that's when I signed up to become a trainer when I was in Iraq. So I got my book. And so in between, I would take blood pressure. So it was pretty easy because I was already a medic. So the anatomy part wasn't a big deal. But then, I would do my work. Like you actually had to write actual papers. And then I took my test to get certified while I was in Iraq. So when I got home, I was already certified and ready to go.
That's so cool. So what was your next move? So now you're back here in the States. What was your next move now that you're certified?
So the next move, I was like, okay, I got back in 05. And at the time, if you was in the Army, you can easily get a job. I could have been a, police officer, or I could have went somewhere and worked. But I want to do the training thing. So I went to a gym. Uh-huh. I went to a gym and just started training. That was it. You got to hustle. You got to hustle for clients.
Because when I met AJ, it was group fitness. So it was like CG at the time. And we're just in this parking lot, right up the street, and it was very like rain or shine. You used to be meaner to us. I feel like you're nicer now.
I've calmed down a lot. You don't even understand how it was.
Tell them
in
though.
2000.
I've even seen the progression from 2016 to now. So you're saying you were worse.
I was because I was fresh out of I got home in 2005. And it was time for me to ETS. That basically means it's time for you to get out. So when we got home from Iraq, it was time for me to get out. So I didn't take any de-escalation classes or whatever kind of training they had for the soldiers. I was just out. So I'm fresh out of Iraq.
Rogue.
I'm driving down the street. If I saw like a dead animal or if I saw like a box in the freeway, like, how you see a dead animal or you see like a cardboard box, I would swerve. My wife was like, what the heck are you doing? But the thing is, in Iraq, if you driving, what they would do is take, there was a lot of stray animals out there. So if they have a dead dog, hey, let's put a bomb in it. So you see a dead animal, you ride and all of a sudden, boom, you see smoke. Or if you see, something in the road, that could be a bomb. And so when I first got home, I'm swerving out of the way. But when it comes to fitness, it was military style. It was
boot camp for real.
It was boot camp for real.
Like we weren't just trying to lose weight.
Yeah, but when you did it, that's when I had music and stuff. But when I first started doing it, I would wear all of my military gear. And it would be just like them. I mean,
but I bet they loved it though.
They loved it. At the time, they loved it. And then a couple of years later, you know, when things go mainstream and other people start jumping in, it gets watered down. So people start coming out with, I do a non-military style boot camp. And I was like, what the hell is that?
Lame.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck? Because I was like, they got speakers. They got music. What the hell they got music for?
Doing this for a minute.
And then I said, I would never have music. But look at me.
So you would run your class with no music?
No music. It was military style. It was all catered.
So like half of it for me is like, I don't want to hear my own breath.
Like, no. You would hear my breath because I was yapping the whole time.
He was on your neck.
I would call cadence. Instead of music, we call cadence. And so when you're doing reps, you know, you saying 1, 2, 3, and then you'll say 1. And I'll say 1, 2, 3. And then I'll talk some noise in between, you know, and I'll say something like, you know, instead of saying 1, 2, 3, I'll say, you know, no spare tire. You want to burn some rubber, you know, and you'll be counting. Oh, yeah.
Not this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did you ever have anyone like walk out?
At the time, probably, I don't know. If they wanted to go, they want to go. So I'm much better now. Like I have a lot more empathy. Yeah. But at the time, somebody walk out, I'm like, okay, go be fat. He's dead serious. That was my mindset. Yeah. And if somebody wasn't, you know, if they wasn't eating right, then I would tell them, hey, you're fired. You're wasting my time. You were wasting my time. Your nutrition is jacked up. I measured you. 6 weeks later, I measured you again. You're not getting skinnier. Yo, what are you eating? Let me get a food log. Blah, 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 blah.
Maybe that's what we need.
You don't understand. I'm so emotional. And I'm like, look, you want to be fat? Go be fat, but don't waste my time. You're fired. And that's how it was. And
but what changed for you then? Like, how'd you go from that?
Well, I mean, you get out. When you get out, and time goes by, you can make a change. And the game changed. Like I said, the game changed where they started coming out with the non-military style boot camp. They was marketing like, hey, we don't do that kind of stuff here. And
we're not crazy.
Yeah. And so while people loved it, a lot of regular people, if you give people a choice between easy and hard, they're going to choose easier. So if I got a church, if I got a church, right? If I got a huge church, if I'm saying, hey, if you don't do this, you're going to hell. If you're on TikTok, you're going to hell. Ain't nobody going to my church.
That's right.
So I got to make it fun. I got to make a daycare for your kid. I got to have a little kids area. I got to have a daycare. Set up. So back in the day, we had to sit in church with our kids. But now it's like, hey, I got these programs. So the kids playing PlayStation in church, they going. So I gotta make it a little bit easier.
Okay.
You know, back in the day, it was like fire and brimstone, but you can't do it. So if you want to have a follow, but you can, but you can't.
Right.
So I could go that hardcore route again. And sometimes you see me in class, I be twitching a little bit, and you be looking like, dang, AJ's malfunctioning. And then I settle back down. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so it's still in me. And I think one of those,
your old tendencies want to kind of.
They bubble out some, and then I stop. But one day, I think when I hit a certain age, I'm just gonna be on again. Yeah. And
back to the fire and brimstone.
Back to the fire and brimstone. Back to you told me this is what you want, but you ain't doing the things. I'm with you 4 hours a week, and you with yourself 150 or whatever, however many hours in a week, and you ain't doing the right things outside, so you wasted my time. You know what I'm saying? But
that's real.
But you know, I focus more on self defense now than fitness than I do. So. It's more self-defense.
Right. So when did you make like that transition? Fitness, just personal training, fitness focus to like self-defense. Where did that passion come from?
So for me, it started when I was little. I started thinking about self-defense when I was 5. And so did you know that, basically I was kidnapped? Did I tell you about that?
AJ, that's why you're here today.
I've been holding out.
Yes.
All right. So when I first started thinking about self-defense, I was 5 years old. My mom was in an abusive relationship with my dad. And I saw him choke her unconscious. And so at 5 years old, you know, I didn't know what unconscious was. I thought it was dead. And I couldn't pull him off. Nothing I can do. So that's when I first started thinking about how can I protect this woman, my mom. You know what I'm saying? Fast forward a year later, my parents are separated, right? And I haven't seen my dad in a while, but then he pops up out of nowhere. He's like, hey, little man, you want to go to Mickey D's? Get a Happy Meal. And, you know, some of the young folk is like, ew, a Happy Meal. Why didn't y'all go to Chick-fil-A? There was no Chick-fil-A
at all.
Way back in the
Mickey
day,
D's
right?
was the old Chick-fil-A.
It was it. And so I'm like, yay, I want a Happy Meal. So I jump in the truck. We lived in Virginia at the time, right? We get the Happy Meal, and he takes me from Virginia to Kansas. And Nobody knew where I was. I remember crying for my mom and stuff. And so we sitting in the house. I'll bang on the door. The police kick in the door. They grab him up. They take me to the station. I go and I stay at a home for like 2 or 3 days. And then my mom came and got me. So my first time on the plane was going back to Virginia from Kansas. And so at that time, you couldn't go to jail, kidnapping your own kids. You couldn't rape your own wife. That wasn't a thing back in the day, right? So she was in danger. So she quickly packed up everything. And that's when we moved to Texas. And so basically for about 8 years, we pretty much hid out. And so, he would drive back and forth from Virginia to California. He was paranoid schizophrenic. And, when it comes to, I learned about abuse. Because to this day, my mom says, hey, when he took his meds, he was a good man. She for some reason, she would always try to tell me, hey, he was a good man when he was on his meds, right? So anyway, from ages about 7 to about 15, I always thought about, okay, he's going to find us one day. So I got to get strong. So I would do, push-ups. I would like get in front of a shadow and I would throw punches and I would duck, dodge, weave, and just try to become strong, until I met him again. I met him once again when I was 15. And then that's the last time I met him. And so fast forward to 2001, that's when I went into the Army to become a medic. But see, here's the thing. It was August of 2001, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to the Army. I'm going to go to college and I'm going to work in a hospital. That's what I'm going to do.
That was the plan.
That's what I'm going to do, right? But when I was in boot camp, September happened. We was in boot camp. You know what I'm saying? And so 9/11 hit.
Right.
And so it changed our mission. So I went from being a medic to where I can choose to work in the hospital to, you're going to be a combat medic because that's what we need. And then the drill sergeant, they probably couldn't do this nowadays, but the drill sergeant, they brought us in formation because we didn't have the internet. We didn't have TVs or phone or anything, right? And so they came out, they smiled at us. And he was like, guess what, guys? You are all going to war.
Oh my God.
And so we didn't even know, they didn't say nothing about 9/11. So we're in formation and we was like, what are we talking about? And then because in boot camp, they always tell you like, hey, you got to be prepared for anything. Hey, if something happens, you signed the dotted line. And so boom, there was his proof. So he was just smiling like, you were going to war. And so, people.
What do you remember feeling at the time?
I was laughing. So I looked at my buddy. I had my buddy.
You're like, what, 18 or?
You trying to get my age. I ain't going to tell you how old I was. Shoot, man. No, I'm kidding. I was 21.
Okay.
Because I had, I went to college a little bit. I played some football and then I hurt my ankle and my leg was bumped. I couldn't really run anymore. So, I spent a year trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Then I was like, I think I'm going to go to the Army. I'm just going to sign up, right? It took me 5 days to sign up. I decided on Monday. My wife was real happy about this. My family was happy about it too, yeah. I signed up on Monday and I was gone on Friday. That's how I moved. But, so yeah, we laughed. Like I looked at my buddy, Miles was on the right. My buddy Walker was on my left.
Shout out, Walker.
And we looked at each other. He was like, dang, that's crazy. But then, we was in Fort Jackson. So we had guys and girls. And so the girls started crying. Like, ooh.
That's what I'm like, how'd you feel? Because I would have cried.
Yeah, the girls started crying. But they weren't crying because 9/11 hit. They was crying because the drill sergeant said we going to war. But the girls, they ain't going to go to war. They ain't going to war. They going to, be working a desk job, something like that. So, so the mission changed. And so, went to my unit, did all my training. We was prepared for all that. I was prepared for it as a medic. But when I went to Iraq, and it was the first time that I saw where, like women were kind of down here, men were up here. I mean, it was part of the culture, right? Which I respect. I've learned a lot about it now. But on the flip side, when I was out there, I saw some stuff where the girls, some girls got roughed up. Now, the thing is, I don't want to put that on their, on the culture. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm just saying what I saw. I'm not saying the culture's like that.
Because back in the day.
And if I don't say that, a lot of people from there gonna come for me. It is just what I saw.
That's your experience.
But it was, one time I was like talking to some of the locals, and because what would happen is the locals would just kind of surround you because you like celebrities out there. So we were kind of talking to the guys, a little English they knew it was all men, and there was this one like young lady. She was peeking around the corner. She had her. The stuff, I can't remember what it's called. So now people going to be like, you weren't out there. You don't even know what it's called.
I can't.
But I can Google it right now. But I'm not going to do it. But anyway, she was looking around the corner and just, because she's never seen a soldier before. And she starts smiling. And I'm talking to the guy and I, kind of look, how you look behind you and they look. So this dude, he like looked and he saw that she was like peeking around the corner and he turned around and he yelled at her. He's like, said something. And then like, he just like snatched her up and roughed her up. And I'm sitting in there, my M16 in my hand. And I'm like, but as a soldier, you can't interfere. You can't do anything. And so just when I saw that, I started thinking about, like women's safety. Right. Now I think about women and men's safety, but this is how I got into self-defense. And so fast forward to 2005, I get out of the Army. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to go into fitness. Go into fitness, right? So I started training people, but 90% of my clients were in Dallas between the ages of 25, 35, and most of them lived alone. And so at the time, I was taking some I was taking like Muay Thai and striking and stuff like that. Like the knees and the elbows that we do now. Like you don't like the knees. You just want to throw hands and stuff.
I want to throw hands all day.
You just want to throw hands, but you need some knees too.
I'm trying, AJ.
Yeah.
I feel like the bottom half don't work.
It works great. It works great. You just don't like throwing kicks and stuff. You like getting into those street fights and stuff. But where was I? I lost my train of thought.
You're just saying your clientele at the time, so like they lived alone.
And so they started approaching me and say, hey, this guy did this to me. What do I do? Or I got grabbed like this. What do I do? How do I get out of this? And that's when I started teaching self-defense. Kind of started teaching the self-defense. In 2006, I started doing it officially because my coach at the time, Mr. Wah, very great instructor, been doing it forever. I was like, hey, think I can teach self-defense? And he was like, yeah, you can. And so that's when I started teaching officially.
I didn't know none of this. This whole time I'm just like, I've been taking his classes. Just recently you throw in more like self-defense for me. Like I've never taken one of his self-defense, like all women seminars or anything. But this last time when you brought out the bodysuit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I was not ready. Cause one thing is to practice, like like hypothetically, like if someone does this, you do this, but yeah, talk them through like the experience that they would get. Like if they went to one of your classes, like put on the bodysuit, what is that like?
Yeah. So a lot of self-defense classes, they base it off of martial arts, in which I used to do the same thing because my background's in jiu-jitsu. So I would say, hey, if somebody grabs your wrist, you twist out or you do all this stuff. But the problem is if somebody grabs your wrist, they're not going to just grab you like they do in class. They're going to grab you and they're going to pull you. They're going to throw you down. They're going to be cursing you out and stuff like that, right? So in the class, we start slow. I don't want to traumatize anybody, right? But we start slow.
I was a little bit traumatized when he walked out in that suit. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah,
I didn't sign up for this.
It's nerve-wracking.
It was.
Yeah. And so, we practice boundaries. We practice, like verbal, like defending yourself verbally. Distance control. That's very important. But then I put on the suit. I have a helmet on. It protects my eyes. It protects my groin. I look kind of like a turtle. I look like a ninja turtle, like a black ninja turtle.
Heroes.
Yeah. So it protects. But the reason why I like to wear that stuff is because I want to be able to give live resistance, but I want you to be able to fight back without having to worry about hurting me. Because if I didn't wear any gear, you would have to go in a slow and controlled manner so you don't hurt me. So I want you to hurt me. I want you to go full force. I want you to kick to the groin. I want you to try to gouge somebody's eyes out. I'm going to grab you, pull you, throw you down as if I was an attacker. And that's why, we were talking earlier. And you've never heard me curse. You've never heard me curse. But if you do one of my self-defense classes, you will hear me curse.
He's going to make it as real as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. I just love that your passion comes from a place of like your personal experience. I think that's why it's just different. I don't have anyone to compare it to, but all I know is like when we go and we show up, like you be coming up with scenarios on the spot, like shout out Whitney because she's young. She goes to class with us. And like, I know she's kind of in that scene where she is out by herself, and you're always playing these things out, well, if you're here, if you're there, or like, we need to be sharing locations or just, anything like that, which kind of I want to transition to this because AJ's super passionate about safety in general, right? Like it's just like who he's wired this way. It's who he is. Like obviously, stuff he's been through. I want to talk about how can we stay safe like on social media, because he's big on this. He is also a content creator, so he has his own YouTube. We'll link everything below so you guys can check him out. But yeah, I know you share out stories and like real life stuff that happens that maybe doesn't like get put out on right, like bigger news or whatever. But like you find these stories and you share them out. So yeah, like what are just some ways we can stay safe?
So the first thing you want to do is Google yourself. Just put in your first and last name.
Okay.
I'm not talking about your nickname. I'm talking about your government name.
Okay.
Put your first and last name, your government name.
Right.
Especially if you're over 25. So most likely what's going to happen is all your information is going to pop up. Your first name, last name, your exact age, your address, your kid, the amount of kids you have, your daddy's name, your husband's name, everything is going to be linked together. And the thing is, though, if you Google yourself and all that information pops up, all you have to do is go to that site and request to have it taken down. Now, you probably have to do it. I used to say you do it every 2 years, but the world continues to change and things move faster. So you might have to do it every year. We might get to the point where we have to do it every month. I put in my name months ago. My address pops up again. I just request to get it taken down. When I Google my name again, it doesn't pop up. So that's the first thing you want to do. Google
never thought
your
to do this.
own
All right.
name. That's very first and foremost. Have you ever watched that show? It's called You.
Yes, with Joe
on Netflix. Yeah. So I don't even have to say anything. Just watch the show. That dude. He seems like a good dude, but he stalks all of his girlfriends, right?
And it's very easy.
It's very easy to stalk people. The second thing, and a lot of people are not going to do this, but I would say if you don't have to for your business, what's the point of even getting on social media?
But we need them here to subscribe to the channel. If they already have it.
Right. But I'm just going down the list. You told me, you trying to do that. You trying to do that girl math. And you're like, oh, I already got that. Just skip that.
Whoa. Not that one. Not that one.
I'm doing the guy math. I'm giving you the list. Now, if you do have social media, of course, you want to set it to private. Another thing you can do is don't put your government name in there. Why is your government name on social media?
What's your handle? What's your YouTube handle?
My YouTube is it's called AJ Tucker Self Defense.
But that's not your government.
That's not my government name.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna show you this video. My 8-year-old daughter, she just learned my government name yesterday. I record her. She was like, "What? Your name is not AJ?" And I was like, "You didn't know my name?" She was like, "I thought it was AJ. I thought it was AJ." She kept saying that. Yeah. And she don't even know. Well, she kind of know it now, but if she forget, I ain't gonna just volunteer that after her. But on your social media, put like a nickname,
all right,
and spell it a little differently, or don't even put your last name. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point? Why? Okay. Unless you're selling something. Even if you're selling something, get a nickname. All right. Get an alias.
Got it.
So
number 3.
Oh,
you're scaring me. I'm doing it all wrong.
You got your government name all over. Change it. Just put,
just TC. Just
TC,
initials.
Well, that's too close to like THC.
Oh, so we can't.
You can put.
Yeah, you're right.
You can put Tiffany C.
Tiffany C.
That's it.
Right.
Or Tiffany CEE, or I don't know something. Right. But just take your government name off of your social media handle.
Of course,
because all these dudes, and they've already done it, or not dudes and men and women, they've already done it.
Yeah.
Somebody has typed in your government name to see what pop up. And when you check today to see what pops up, that's what they already saw. And they can pop up at your crib.
But it's never too late to turn it around, right?
No,
we gotta give them some hope.
Turn around right now. Turn around right now.
All right.
Turn around right after we get off of this.
But you were just saying that you're like, it's not just dudes, it's ladies too. I know you're big on this.
Yeah.
Big on the Me Too movement.
I'm not big on no Me Too movement. What the heck?
But how can we keep the guys safe online?
Okay. So here's the thing. So the guys, guys, we got a lot. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, what gets all throughout history, even in the Bible, thousands of years ago, what has gotten guys caught up? Women. That's pretty much it, right?
That's just
and so Bible. It's basically, a honey trap where here's what's happening. So Cardi B, you know who Cardi B is, right? Yeah. Did you know that? And she didn't get in trouble for this. There's been no charges. I'm not saying she needs to get charges
Okay.
because if you talk about Cardi,
allegedly,
if you talk about Cardi B, she gonna come for you and try to sue you. She be coming for people.
Okay.
So I ain't saying nothing about you, Cardi B, but I'm finna say something about you. So she was bragging a couple years ago how before she, got into hip hop and stuff like that, she used to be a stripper.
Yes.
And she was just talking about how she would set guys up, drug them, or get them drunk and rob them.
Jesus shared this.
Yeah. And she didn't get in trouble for it.
Unashamedly.
She didn't get in trouble for it.
Yeah, because she's in her bag.
But the thing is, and we all know it, and if you don't disagree with it, I will say you're wrong. But women don't get in trouble for some of the same stuff. Now, men get away with stuff. I don't know what that is because I'm not a woman. You would know. You'll be able to say it better than I do. But for things like drugging somebody and robbing them, women don't really get in trouble that much for that stuff. They just don't unless they kill the guy. So did you know a guy died a few weeks ago, about a month ago, in Fort Worth? You know about that?
No, I didn't.
He was in.
This is the kind of content he shares out on his channel, guys.
And the reason why I share it, especially when it happens to guys, it doesn't pop up on the news. You have to search for that stuff. He went to Deep Ellum, all right?
In Dallas. All right.
And he met two women in there, right? And so they hit it off and they went back to his apartment. He thought he was getting lucky. Guys, nothing is that easy. Ain't nothing that easy.
Tell him.
Nothing is free. So if you finna get something for free, you're gonna pay. So think about it that way. So anyway, he goes to the house, right? And the next day he's found dead. And so those two girls are gone. So they probably drugged him. They didn't give details. I had to follow up on that story, but they probably drugged him, or they drugged him too much and accidentally killed him, or they killed him. And a lot of times when a girl will set you up, yes, you're bigger and stronger than them, but they may have other guys in waiting. So these young guys, man, they're showing off their money, they're showing off their cars, and these girls will hit them up on Snapchat, and they're like, see, I got all this stuff, this girl wants me. And he goes, all of a sudden, boom, her boyfriend would hit him with a couple other hitters. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that stuff has been happening. A lot of that stuff, I've been seeing so many of those stories.
So what's another way they could stay safe, these guys?
Man, you got to vet these women.
Okay.
You can't just bring them into your house, and you can't just try to run up into their house.
Right.
You got to
but then they'll hear something like that and think, we're being old school or like whatever, but I'm saying that you're being like old school, You think
the guy would be old?
No, I'm saying like if you're telling them don't just bring them to your house or don't just go to their house, like it's not a matter of fact of being old school. It's a matter of fact of like stupid. This could cost you your life. Is what you're getting at.
Yeah. So I tell the young guys like when you follow your wood, it never turns out good.
That's a word.
And I'm not trying to be old school, just trying to be smart.
Smart.
If something is like too easy, it could be a setup. So either you got to do something like a lot of guys, we're by ourselves. So when we're out and about, we're by ourselves and we're like, okay, yeah, this is good. But you might want to have somebody, if you have somebody with you, that can cut off a lot of stuff.
That's a good tip right there. That's just a real easy good tip.
The same stuff I tell the women, I tell to the guys. Also, though, you talked about the Me Too movement earlier, right? Now, the Me Too movement, it's like it went a little too far, right? But the message, the effort was good because there are women out there, they get assaulted and nothing happens out of it. And the years go by and they're just traumatized and stuff like that. Now, Me Too movement went hard. Boom. Imagine a guillotine just, you know what a pendulum is? With the blade, it just swung one way,
right.
But now it's swinging the other way. And what I mean by that is like with guys, let's say you get a girl, right? You're in college, got a girl, y'all hit it off, y'all been dating for a few weeks. Y'all get drunk, okay? But this girl, you don't know, but this girl has a boyfriend. So you get drunk, y'all have sex, she wakes up, somebody finds out, boyfriend finds out, and she's like, I got raped. And it's been so many stories. And that used to work for decades, that works, but now it doesn't work as much anymore. But that can easily happen. But the thing is, because of the Me Too movement, when a girl says, hey, this happened to me, that hammer swings down hard on the guy. So if you have a scholarship, you're going to lose the scholarship first. You're going to get kicked out of school first. Then you got to prove you're innocent. So two guys at Ohio State, they were football players. Here's how cold it is at Ohio State, because that's a big time college, right? The coach makes their players, whenever a guy's going to have sex with a girl, they have to pull out an iPad and record the girl and say, hey, do you consent to this? And the girl says, yes, I consent.
Wild.
And then they go. Because that's how bad it is.
Yeah.
But those two guys did that, but she had a boyfriend. And this is very common in college. So like if there's some athletes, some jocks, and they got a big name at Ohio State, right? It's going to happen. You know, some of these girls ain't going to care. But anyway, she gets with those guys, but she has a boyfriend. But she went home when the boyfriend found out. She said the guys assaulted her. And she just went along with the story. But they even had video proof that she consented. Yeah. Even though they had that video proof, they still got kicked out of school. And it took them over 2 years to clear their name. See what I'm saying? And it's so the danger with guys, another danger for guys is anger and pride. So women tend to freeze when there's aggression. So if a guy pulls a gun on you, you might tend to freeze up and just try to, do whatever. Sometimes when a guy get a gun pulled on him, they tend to like get angry. And one of the things you got to watch out for as a guy is that pride. So you get all hyped up and angry, boom, it's over. You know what I mean? And you might say, why would a guy get angry when a gun is in his face? But sometimes
it's like a trigger response.
Yeah. Lubbock. And we're in Texas. So if somebody blows you away, so like if a guy pulled a gun on me, right? And I was like, okay, I'm cool. Or if I got angry, I started coming at him, he blows me away, he's going to get off scot-free. He's going to say, hey, it was self-defense. And then the lawyer is going to do some background check and say, hey, man, that guy is a black belt. He was in the Army, blah, blah, blah. He had to. But even though he the one pulled a gun on me. There was a story in Lubbock, Texas. I don't have the names down. But it was a dad. He was going to his ex-wife's house to pick up his son. And it was time, but she didn't have him ready. And he was like getting mad about it. He was like, I want my son. It's on the video. It's on video. And the boyfriend comes out. And the boyfriend baits the dad into a self-defense situation. So he's like, hey, man, you need to get out of here. I think he went to the boyfriend's house to find the kid or something like that. But anyway, the guy comes out. And so
lures him out.
Well, the boyfriend comes outside after they've been, the dad, his wife was there recording it just to make sure that everything would be cool, right? And so she recorded this whole thing. So the boyfriend comes out, the dad pushes him. So the boyfriend like, okay, cool. He walks back in the house. He comes out with a shotgun. But the dad is already amped up. Like, hey, I want my son. I want my son. And the wife is recording. This guy has a shotgun. So if somebody has a shotgun, I'm like, all right, I'm out. But, like, I don't know what kind of drama they had going on, but he was angry. And the guy has a shotgun and he starts to smirk. He walks up to him and he walks up to him chest to chest. And he's like, hey, man, you need to leave. And he's smirking at him. And so, at first he holds the gun and he walks up on him. And so the dad is like, grabs the gun and he slings him away. But he didn't like take the gun from him. But when he slung him away, the guy flies back, aims, pop, pop, kills him. So he's the one, he went into the house, got the gun, went up into his space and waited until the guy like pushed him and he shot him and he got off. Like
free.
He got off free. Self-defense. Hey, self-defense. Oh. He tried to grab my gun, even though he went in the house and brought it out. And so those are things that guys got to watch out for. Like I already know there are some guys out there, they want to shoot. They want to shoot you. They can't wait. Give me a reason. Uh-huh. And they know they can get off if they form the argument in the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
So
you're saying for them to keep their cool.
Yeah, you got to keep your cool. And if you don't keep your cool, you better make sure you maim or injure that person. Because if you just try to like run at them and you're dead.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. AJ, listen, we're here all day sharing all your stories. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I mean, I think they've walked away with at least a couple.
At least a couple Scooby snacks. A couple
Scooby snacks is his signature phrase. Okay, we got Bob with us. I've been so rude. I haven't introduced him, but listen, Bob, he's a good guy. He's taking a couple hits. If y'all go check out AJ's next class, which is happening when?
Oh, November 19th.
November 19th. Okay, we will link some details below. You get to meet Bob in person. You get to meet AJ. And, he's just as cool in person as he is. No, he might not be as cool when he's, like, in your face and, like, you're trying to attack him back. Like,
I don't get anybody's face. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
But no, thank you, AJ, for coming on. We're going to send the people over to your channel. And yeah, it's been real, you guys. Thank you.
All right.